It is an interesting biological fact that all of us have in our veins the exact same percentage of salt in our blood that exists in the ocean. And therefore, we have salt in our blood, in our sweat, in our tears. We are tied to the ocean. And when we go back to the sea, whether it is to sail or to watch it, we're going back from whence we came.
What's up, guys? So I'll try not to be so boring and lifeless in this voiceover. I don't know why voiceovers are so hard for me, but anyways, I hope that you guys are enjoying my more cinematic content, which I've been having a ton of fun creating. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. So here I'm starting off with the silicone molding compound called Third Degree. As you can see, it comes in two parts, A and B. One very, very important thing to note when working with this stuff is you do not want to cross-contaminate the jars, aka don't get even one little particle of jar A in jar B. jar B. Get it? Mixing them together will completely ruin your products and waste all your money, all of it, nothing left. Just kidding. Basically, you just want to make sure that you use two separate spatulas to remove the product from each separate jar and then mix them together in a separate bowl. A metal spatula would really come in handy with this kind of stuff, but I'm using what I got, just like you most likely are as well. So I am using the end of one of my brush handles to lay down the third degree in the shape that I want it. Initially, don't worry about it being perfect. Just get the general shape that you want laid out because you can build, blend, and shape from there. With this stuff, it's better to mix up a small amount at a time because it has a pretty quick dry down, so make sure you work in small batches, mixing more when you need to, and working quickly. After you get your initial shape laid out, you want to spend time blending out the edges on the outside of the gash to blend it out with the rest of your leg. Don't worry about blending the inside of the gash. A hard edge will actually look more natural and create more definition. And then I'm just repeating the same process on the opposite look so that people know that I'm a real mermaid, no matter what angle they look at me. I need people to know. And then I'm just showing you that I'm not naked. So we're gonna let that third degree dry and move on to the face in order to look like the flawless queen of the sea. So you'll want to use a good full coverage foundation that can cover up how human you actually are. I'm using the Kat Von D Lock-It foundation in the shade Light 43 Warm and blending that all the way down my neck and my chest since my skin is basically translucent and shows every bit of redness that exists. Next, I am thoroughly setting everything with my Coti Airspun Loose Translucent Powder. This stuff is cheap and works like a dream. Now, darkening my already filled in earlier brows by brushing the Monsieur Big waterproof mascara through them to initially coat the hairs, then going in with a dark brown eyeshadow to fill in the rest of them. Now it's time to get funky. Clearly, I had way too much fun wearing this thing. Just wait, you'll see. But here I'm using an old wig cap of mine to create a stencil for my mermaid scales, and then using the Sephora Pro Editorial palette, one of my favorites by the way. I'm starting with the iridescent light tones on the top row because I wanted the colors to come across very soft and almost pastel. So starting with a light base of shadows will soften the more vibrant shades that I put on top of it so that everything blends together really nicely and looks really soft. Then just blending varying tones of pink, purple, green, and blue and keeping them darker around the hairline and lighter as I move towards the brows. There's no really rhyme or reason as to where I'm placing them, but I will say try to avoid using too much green, otherwise you'll end up looking like some sort of weird fish reptile morph and it's not cute. I'm following the same technique down the rest of my body. Here I pinned the cap to my hair and stretched it out down my neck. Just be careful not to move the net while you're creating the texture, otherwise you'll lose your place and it'll start to blend together. And then it just looks like kind of a cloud of color rather than actual scales. And here is where I decided to make it really hard on myself. And here is where I actually decided to use my brain. Now I'm just using varying tones to fill in the contours of my body. If you hunch your shoulders over and pop your bones out, kind of like you see me doing, it honestly becomes pretty self-explanatory. You'll also see me stretch my neck in funny ways to make the tendons pop out. It looks pretty funny, but it's worth it because you can really see the natural contours of your body and then just place whatever tones you want to place. Again, try to avoid using too much green. I mostly just stuck to blues and purples and pinks. Next, I'm quickly blending a bright pink shade into my crease and under my eyes. And then I'm taking a teal blue and applying it to the inner 2/3 of my eyelid. And then taking a deep blue to blend onto the outer corner of the eye and the crease. And then just a quick sip of my Life Source. Using a red lip liner, I'm now lining the inner waterline and bringing it along my lash line as well. The pigmentation is often different in lip liners, which can cause irritation, so needless to say, use a lip liner around your eyes at your own risk, but you have been warned. It's never irritated me, but I'm just saying, be safe. And then taking that same pink eyeshadow I used in the crease, and I'm taking a heavy amount of it and packing it onto the lower lash line. And then here's a wand because I'm a sea queen, and here's a ghost because look at him, he's so cute. Now I'm applying some upper and lower lashes. With lower lashes, you want to tilt your head down and look up into the mirror. Tweezers can really help and make sure you come up from under the lashes and place them as close to the natural lash line as possible. Next, I'm just applying the Sephora Cream Lip Stain in the shade 104. Then taking a dark teal blue shimmer shadow, I'm placing that right on my Cupid's bow and right onto the center of the lip, and then right under the pout of the lip as well. And now that our wounds have dried, we want to cover them with concealer, powder, and a little bit of blush to make them blend with the rest of the leg. Next, start sketching out your scales. This is really hard to do standing up, so I recommend sitting on the floor and using a reference picture to help you create your shape. Try to make the scales as even in size as possible. A lot of times scales don't vary, at least not in one area in terms of size, so try to make them all the same size since we're working in a small area, and make them curve the same and everything like that. Again, not easy to do, but do the best that you can and use a reference picture. Next, fill in the scales with your desired color. Definitely do something reflective and multi-toned if possible, and if that's the mystical look that you're going for. I used the shade Spaced Out from the Fenty Galaxy palette, which I think ended up being honestly perfect because of all the multiple tones in it. And then I'm actually going back in with a black eyeshadow just because after I applied the purple shade, it kind of dulled the lines a little bit. So I'm just going back in with that black eyeshadow to bring out those lines again. I'm also adding that black eyeshadow around the outer edges of the scale, kind of near the edges of the wound, and then also on the outer edges of the scales themselves so that they have a little bit more depth. And then I mixed together a silver paint using the Mayron Silver Metallic Powder and the Mayron Mixing Liquid, and I'm painting on small silver slivers right on the tip of the scales to add some highlights and really make them pop. And lastly, taking my Temp 2 Trauma Alcohol Activated Palette and using 99% isopropyl alcohol, I'm using a mixture of reds and purples and stippling those around the inside and the outside edges of the wound. I apparently didn't get any footage of me applying it to the outer edges, but just use stippling motions to build up the color until you like the way it looks. Now enjoy all your magical sea siren dreams. Make sure to hit subscribe before you click off this video because you'll want to see some of my other awesome, amazing Halloween content I have coming out this season. I'm so excited. So make sure you hit that thumbs up as well, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Are you recording already?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I'm like, I'm not in character yet.
How's the water, Delena?
It's pretty nice.
Oh crap, you look like the Snow Queen from Snow White and the Huntsman coming out of the ice.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
I guess I'll just have to hear this later.
Yeah, I guess so. this. Okay, just take one big deep breath. You can do it.
Yeah, it's not gonna submerge all the way. Every pose I get, it looks like a birthing pose.
Push, Joanna,
Sam doesn't know. Oh man, this has been such a long night. It's already good.